Eddie Howe's head managerial career started with Bournemouth as he led them to promotion from League Two back in 2009, finishing in second place. Then he would leave Bournemouth and go to Burnley, but he would eventually be brought back to Bournemouth, who are now in League One. From there, he would lead them to 2 promotions, bringing this club into the Premier League in 2015. Howe would keep this club in the top flight for 5 straight seasons until they would be relegated after their team was decimated by transfers. He would lose his job, but many clubs would monitor him, as he has shown the ability to overperform with smaller clubs. Newcastle just recently hired him as their long-term manager to push through the takeover, and it was an interesting decision. Eddie Howe at Bournemouth used in most matches a 4-4-2 formation that was at times more reminiscent of a 4-2-2-2. Although he usually picked this formation, he commonly would mix his formations based on his opposition, if it meant that it gave his team a much better chance in the match. Sometimes he would switch to a 3-4-3, a 3-5-2, or even a 4-5-1. Howe, no matter the formation, loves his teams to press off the ball. His Bournemouth side in the final season in the Premier League were 3rd in total pressures with 6,790. However, his team lacked players who were solid at pressing, since they were 3rd worst in successful presser percentage at 26.2%. In the press, he likes his 2 strikers to press together to occupy the opposition's 2 center backs. His 2 wide players will push forward and mark the opposition's fullbacks. The 2 midfielders will push forward to occupy the opposition's midfielders, and the backline will push forward to aid in the press. When they were successful in their press, he wanted his team to counterattack very quickly and look to exploit these mistakes and finish their chances. However, this high press system for Howe, with his quality of players, was easily picked apart. When the press is broken, the opposition would have numerical advantages against the retreating defense. This would lead to them being bottom 3 in goals against in their final Premier League season, allowing 65 goals. When they do have possession, they set up in more of a 4-2-2-2, as the wingers will push more inside and play like an attacking midfielder. This allows the fullbacks to have space to overlap them, and this is where Howe wants his teams to attack from. He wants his fullbacks to run the byline and look to play balls back inside to his tall strikers to try and put headers into the back of the net. This is why Joshua King was so good for Bournemouth, due to his heading ability. For Newcastle and their current side, I see him lining up in a 4-4-2, with Darlow in goal, Lewis, Lascelles, Schär, and Kraft in defense, with Fraser, Willock, Longstaff, and St. Maximin in midfield, and Joelinton and Wilson up front. This will allow for his team to play the style he wants to, using his fullbacks to push forward and his wingers can push more inside. His 2 midfielders are solid defensively, and passing-wise as well. However, I think this squad will go through some changes in January. With some new transfers, I think he will buy players to fit into his system. I think he will want to get James Tarkowski, the 28-year-old center back from Burnley. He will also get Kieran Trippier, the 31-year-old right back from Atletico Madrid. Also, we'll get Frank Kessie, the 24-year-old Ivorian from Milan, whose contract runs out this summer. The final transfer will be Breel Mbolo, the 24-year-old Cameroonian striker from Borussia Mönchengladbach. All of these players fit in their respective positions how Eddie Howe wants to play. With these players implemented to the squad, the final squad will look like Darlow in goal, Lewis, Lascelles, Tarkowski, and Trippier in defense, Fraser, Kessie, Willock, and St. Maximin in midfield, and Wilson and Mbolo up front. This should be Howe's team post-January in matches where they are playing opposition that they know they can beat. I do think against tougher competition, Howe will switch to a back 3 using a 3-4-3. Here he will take Mbolo out of the squad and add an extra center back with Fabian Schär. Here he will have his team play the same way, with his wingbacks pushing forward and his 2 wingers will push inside and they will focus their play down the wings. This, however, will make it harder to press, but they would be better defensively. Howe will want to stick with the 4-4-2 at most times, but he may want to switch to a back 3 to help his team defensively. With these transfers and system, this team will not be relegated under Howe. He may not be a perfect manager for Newcastle, but he is someone that will play entertaining football that will give them a chance to stay in the Premier League.